What's waiting for people in their 20s that they don't even realize? Story 1. Everyone's saying their health, which isn't wrong. What's really going to affect you is your parents' health, presuming they're still alive, and you have a good relationship with them. If your parents live into old age, they will need more and more help. They won't understand how things work. They'll be more susceptible to scams. If they're like mine, they'll be stubborn and won't acknowledge their weakening faculties. Try getting someone who's driven for 60 years to surrender their license because their eyes aren't so good. And when one dies, the other will likely have fallen into a very codependent lifestyle, and the structure is completely destroyed. You know it's going to happen, but you don't realize how it'll manifest itself until it plays out. What do you think about this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Story 2, real talk here, and this is not something I am seeing elsewhere in this thread. Learn that it can be you. You are not immune, and you will in some way and at something become a statistic. Everyone thinks it won't be them. You won't get in a car accident. You're a safe driver. You won't get diabetes. You've always been good about sweets. You'd never fall for propaganda. You're too smart for that. You'd never end up in a cult. Only gullible people believe in stuff like that. You'll never end up on the streets or in prison. You would never commit a crime. You'll never get cancer. That's something that happens to old people or smokers or people exposed to radiation. You'd never fall for obvious advertising. You're too smart to be caught by tricks like word choice or urgency or edited photos. You'll never fall for a scammer. You know better than that. Become comfortable with the fact that things will happen to you, that you'll get sick or injured or develop a chronic illness, that you'll get taken in by what in hindsight will be an obvious scam, that you'll believe someone's lies or end up impoverished or desperate, or if you were in such and such situations, you very probably would make the same mistakes that anyone in that situation would. Being aware that you aren't likely to be the exception to the rule is a kindness to yourself and others. Example, people don't fall for elder abuse scams because they're stupid. Elders fall to these scams because when cognition begins to decline, medically speaking, one of the first things to go is our suspension of disbelief. It's a normal and expected part of aging, and while it might not happen to you, remembering that it could will help you be more compassionate to others victimized in this way. It will also allow you to develop habits that will prevent you, or elders you love, from being taken advantage of in this way before it happens. The same applies to everything else. Reminding yourself that you aren't some elite being who avoids all trauma because you're smarter/faster/stronger/better makes you kinder and allows you to prepare in the event that something bad does happen to you. And oh my friend, something will happen to you sooner or later. You will be a statistic in one way or another before or after you die. Story 3. Like everyone else said, your health goes downhill after 40. Get active, enjoy it, love it. Find out your family's medical history. In some cases, doesn't matter what you eat or drink. You're going to get nailed with diabetes or heart disease or cancer. Find out if it runs in your family history and plan for it. Save your money. And if you already are, save even more. Inflation cost of living has shown us that $1 million doesn't even buy a home here. Doesn't keep you comfortable for retirement. Save, invest, become financially literate. People will come and go. Don't get attached or take it personally. We are all on our own journey. Enjoy them when they are with you, and be happy for them from afar when they drift away. Story 4. The power of compounding interest. For the love of God, start socking some money into your retirement as early as possible. Look at the charts online of the difference between starting to save a little when you're younger versus how much you have to put away when you're older to actually retire one day. Story 5, ladies and gentlemen of the class of '99, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind, you will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future. Or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubble gum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind. The kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Saying, don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Your knees. You'll miss. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't, maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40, maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Wherever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself. Either your choices are half chance, so are everybody else's. Enjoy your body, use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance, even if you have nowhere to do it but your own living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but a precious few who should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, for as the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund, maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. What do you think about this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Story 6. That physical job is not paying you for the damage it does to your body. I did flooring for 18 years before I got out of it. I was a subcontractor and made great money until I realized that it wasn't enough to fix my joints. I have shoulder problems from carrying rolls of carpet and pad up endless flights of stairs. I was lucky and somehow my knees are okay. Story 7. Cynicism. You'll disguise it as realism, but you gotta get past that to wisdom. And even then, you get maybe a tiny kernel of wisdom if you're lucky. But it's better than sauntering through life feeling hard done by. I've moved on from friends who thought this way. People who don't lift you up and are only too happy to help you down. Story 8. Never expect too much from PPL. Some PPL enters your life to stay. Some are like travelers will pass you by. Some are there to give you a lesson, then walk away. So keep your distance from others and protect your boundaries so you won't get disappointed. Always tell yourself, this too shall pass. Story 9. High-impact sports. I know a lot of guys who busted their knees either from going hard skating during hockey or basketball, listening to loud music with headphones, a lot of friends who are hard of hearing, smoking weed. Again, a lot of friends turned inward because they can't handle the anxieties of normal everyday life anymore, and now they're isolated and slowly going paranoid schizo with intrusive thoughts. Story 10. Think about where you want to be at 40 with respect to health, career, personal finances, family, relationships, etc. Now work backwards and plan the milestones you need to hit along the way and the steps you need to take to hit those. You have between approximately 5,000 to approximately 5,500 or so days to work on building the life you want to have when you're 40. Take a step towards those goals every single day. Time is on your side for now, so use it wisely and focus on progress, not perfection, because setbacks and roadblocks are inevitable. Story 11, lots of great responses in here, mainly related to health and lifestyle choices. But let's not forget one of the most important ones. Get rid of the negative energy in your life. That includes bad habits and bad people, even if they're family. I've seen some people keep losers, male and female, around for far too long, and they got bogged down with their problems. Then, when they needed help, the losers pulled them down even more. The people you choose to have in your life can greatly affect the course of your life. Make sure they're adding and not subtracting. Story 12. I never really thought about it until now, but in my teens and 20s I was always into rough sports, rugby, skateboarding, dirt biking, etc., and I always pushed it too far and would get hurt. Older folks would say, "You are going to feel it when you are older." I'm 40 now and feel great. I have friends that didn't do much physical their whole life and they have back and knee issues and stuff. I continue to stay active. I shoe horses for a living, still dirt bike, ride horses and snowmobile. I feel great, so my advice is stay active even if it's risky. Edit. Also take your mental health seriously and get help soon, even if you are just slightly depressed or anxious. Putting it off for years can have devastating lasting effects. Story 13. Friends don't last. I remember my best friends saying that, and it is a very important thing to know in your 20s, and a social life is easy and natural. Keep strong connections with person who matter in our life is really important. Divorce, lost a job, bankruptcy, and illness, one or another are very usual at 40s, can suddenly show how alone someone really is and hit hard. One is the most dangerous number. Story 14. Brush your teeth regularly and use an electric toothbrush as well as floss. Dental work gets expensive if you neglect them, as well as some of the issues include searing, unescapable pain also. Hydrate. Water fixes so many issues, and drinking it regularly develops a great habit. All things in moderation, including moderation. Mark Twain, maybe. Learn finances. Accounts and cards that pay you to use them are great. Use credit wisely. Property is valuable. Learn how to acquire it. Love often and passionately. As far as any of us know, this is the only life we have. Enjoy it while you have it. Story 15. A sedentary lifestyle. Say no to full-time desk jobs. Worst thing I ever did for myself back then was sit behind a computer all day 5 to 6 days a week. Plus, an hour each way driving commute didn't help either. I went to school for IT desktop support, and although I made decent money, it was not worth the health issues I now have. I tried to eat well, get up every hour and walk, and made damn sure I was very active on weekends. However, these efforts weren't enough, and I gained close to 100 pounds in just a few short years. Also, during this time, I developed breast cancer, which I am convinced was brought on by lack of movement and weight gain. Ironically, I had no choice but to quit that job after my diagnosis to do a year and a half of chemotherapy and radiation to save my life. If I could rewind time, I would have chosen another career. Your body is not meant to sit behind a computer for 40+ hours a week. Don't do it. Story 16. I would have to say, keeping up with your 401ks. I've been working since 16, and since then I've always paid into a 401k if given the option. The sad part is no one, including myself, bothered to explain them. It was something I always just paid into because I thought it was the responsible thing to do. Throughout my work history, I have accumulated over 8 401ks from different jobs that were simply left behind when leaving the jobs. It was not until my early to mid-30s I began to understand more about them, and to be fair, still a little foggy on, then had to do the footwork to track down and consolidate them all. I wish that was one thing that could have been taught to me at a much younger age. Story 17. How much sugar is in everything? I didn't start reading nutrition labels until my 30s, but I definitely did not read any nutrition labels in my 20s at all. Also, look for foods that have the shortest ingredients list, with things you can pronounce, and buy those if possible, even if the other item is cheaper. If you're in the US, I currently love Chobani coffee creamer because they don't add a bunch of artificial ingredients like Coffee Mate and other popular coffee creamers. Story 18. Get educated and build a career. There are many successful people without degrees, but how do you know you will be one of them? The idea is oversold to young people, and once they hit 30, they tend to think it's still too late for them to start a good career. It's never too late. All the people I know without degrees or some sort of specialized education or union job are chronically unemployed. They spend so much time trying to piecemeal their income from Etsy to eBay. Some do well faking being middle class, but they are struggling trying to keep up that image for their kids. They move to cheaper towns, but many of these places don't have nearly the educational opportunities that they enjoyed. You can make a nice life at any income level and be happy, but it sure is easier to enjoy when you have some financial stability. Story 19. This one is especially for the women. When you apply serums and moisturizers to your face, do your neck also. Treat the skin on your neck as part of your face now, and you won't have the dreaded crepey neck quite as bad when you're older. I'm in my 50s now, but it's still good advice. Also, others have noted this already, but start saving or contributing to a 401k or IRA as soon as possible. Even a little bit of money saved from each paycheck will really add up over time, and if you start now, you'll never really miss the small percentage that you contribute each month. Story 20. While people in their 20s are often focused on the present moment, whether it's career building, relationships, or enjoying newfound independence, there are certain habits, decisions, and lifestyle factors that may not seem immediately important, but can have a significant impact later in life. By the time people hit their 40s, they often look back and realize that some of their choices in their 20s set the stage for the challenges or blessings they face in their 30s, 40s, and beyond. Story 21. An active job is worth a lot. An office job might pay more, it's depressing in general, boring, terrible for you. I had one desk job and I was generally pissed and not happy and unhealthy. Obviously not everyone can, but any type of slightly active job is worth a lot IMO. Drawback, very active job, very tired after work, but in a good way, positive and good sleeping, which also goes a long way. Story 22. If you're going to lift heavy, make sure your form is perfect. I ego lifted for years. I've had 3 rotator cuff tears and a pec tear. The rotator cuff probably needs another surgery. Knees are holding in but not perfect. Lower back is okay but occasionally seizes up. I only lift light weights now and do yoga and cardio. I miss lifting heavy but should have worked on flexibility and gotten a coach or trainer to work on form. Story 23. 2 things above and beyond what all others are saying. Health, save, etc. Check yourself. Testicular cancer, and cancer in general, is on the rise in younger people, or it's just being more reported. It's got a low mortality rate if caught early. When I was diagnosed with it in my early 30s, I had surgery and that's it. 10 years on, I'm on annual checks and doing well. Random one I know, but related to the above. Critical illness cover. I wish I'd had it when I was diagnosed, as it would have paid out a hefty lump sum and made my recovery much less stressful, not having to worry about money. Life insurance is also worth having, as should be cheaper in younger years. Rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Story 24. Mobility and joint health. I am 43 and have developed patellar tendonitis in my left knee and arthritis in both ankles. I played sports in high school and college, took a desk job and became way too sedentary, paying the price for that now. I should have stayed more active in my late 20s and 30s. It's crazy how scared I am of falling. I now work a job where I am on my feet 90% of my shift and have seen some improvement in my knee and my overall stamina and pain levels. Story 25. Start investing now. The difference in lifetime earnings when you start saving in your 20s versus even your early 30s is often millions of dollars by the time you retire, due to compounding. You don't even have to save a lot. $10 a month invested into an index fund from age 20 to age 30, $1,200 total, would be worth around $38,213.43 at age 60, even if you stopped investing at age 30. Compounding is wild. Check out the compound interest tool from investor.gov to see for yourself. Story 26. I invest in your individual Roth account every month, even if it is $50. Find a way to invest in yourself while you're young. Marriage is for suckers. You can still have everything and will be happy. Live together, have kids, be in love, travel, etc., without being legally tied to someone. You also won't be held accountable for their bad actions, and they cannot take credit for your successes. Never ever loan money. Give it freely as a gift if you can afford it. Read as much as you can. You'll be an interesting person whom people will love and respect. Self-care is the best care. Includes annual checkups, dental visits, and sunscreen. Also fresh air, beautiful scenery, a game with friends, a great meal, exercise, music, candlelight bubble bath, a mineral-soaking bath, daily journaling, or a long introspective talk with a close friend. A few great friends is so much better than a ton of acquaintances or followers. Have dinner with your parents at least twice a month. Call twice a month to chat if dinner is not possible. Give gifts that are personal, can be regifted or is consumed. Food, flowers, gift card, favorite recipe, etc. Volunteer at least 1 day a month. Your time is worth your weight in gold. Vote. Vote in every election. Story 27. If you don't have fun in your 20s, you might also be sad in your 40s. Say yes to life. Go out with a friend. Climb a mountain. Go on a trip. Try that new restaurant. Start having fun and learning to enjoy life, so when you are 40, you can look back with happiness and no regrets. Story 28. Being abused by anyone can give you PTSD. I had no idea because I thought it was something you get if you go to war, watch someone die, things like that. If I'd known, I would have done more to leave certain situations sooner. You just think everything will be okay once you can get away and put it off because it's scary to stand up and say no more. But it has a tangible effect on your brain and cognition. I wish I'd known. Answer: legit. It's not always as obvious as you'd expect from media and commonly held perceptions of it. Then at some point, you're going to start trying to unpack to improve your life and go, wait a minute, that was actually trauma. Some of it you can't avoid, but if there's something in your life that's always provoking extreme reactions that you're telling yourself you're overreacting to, nip it in the bud before it settles in to haunt you for another 20 years. It's a lot harder to untangle later. Story 29. Diet and exercise. It's so freaking important to develop healthy eating habits early on. It gets so much harder to maintain healthy weight and just overall health the older you get, and becomes much more difficult to change your habits when you're older. People in their 20s are lulled into a false sense that they can just eat anything they want and still feel fine. It doesn't last. Story 30. Some tips. Wear earplugs anywhere loud because tinnitus is a curse. You can still enjoy stuff with them in. Sunblock every time you're outside because the sun eats the youth from your face and can also give you cancer. Wear sunglasses too. Moisturize with simple cream like cocoa butter. Every time you bathe or shower all over. Eat well. Lots of fiber. Drink water. Look at your poop and be aware of what's normal and what could possibly be warning signs of serious illness. Dark blood, black poop, etc. Bright red blood usually means hemorrhoids. Check your boobs or balls regularly for lumps. If you find one, go to the bloody doctor. Brush your damn teeth with fluoride toothpaste before you go to bed. Circular motions. Don't scrub them like a dirty saucepan. Don't brush immediately after eating or drinking. Don't rinse your mouth afterwards. Don't use alcohol mouthwash. Any pain at all, go to the dentist. Infections can kill you. Don't ignore chronic symptoms like a cough or stomach pain or chest pain. Exercise, aerobic, and weight-bearing. Dancing around your living room is good. Don't eat or drink anything with artificial sweeteners if possible, as they're evil. Don't drink sugary drinks. A lot of weight gain can be caused by drinking excessive calories. It's not just food that makes you fat. Vitamin D supplements. Read books, articles, creepypastas, anything. If you have the opportunity to do something that'll make you happy that won't hurt anyone, then just bloody do it. Don't stand in your own way. Regret is a curse. I love you. You're awesome. Be the best you that you can be. Story 31, I know everyone is mentioning health, and that is extremely important. I want to bring up the company you keep. It's very easy during that time in life to get wrapped up in relationships and think that the friends or partners you have, that you make in college or even your first round of work friends are going to be there forever. It's important to acknowledge what really matters to you and really take the time to figure out what is important so you can make decisions for your life based upon that and not surrounding influences. Story 32 habits, physical, financial, mental. I'm 40, and while I don't work out like I used to, developing physically active habits in my 20s saved me, I think. I'm in much better shape than a lot of people my age, and I'm still pretty active in general. Long walks, moving about instead of sitting still for hours. If you take your youth and metabolism for granted, it will catch up with you, and it's much harder to start good habits later. Diet. Be aware of what you're putting into your body. Educate yourself and try to develop healthy eating habits. Enjoy some junk food, sure, but start paying attention now. If you can eat a well-rounded diet when you're nearly broke, you can do it even better later in life when you're more financially stable. Figure out a way to save money, if even just a little. Bad spending habits are hard to break even, especially when your paychecks get bigger. That said, don't short yourself on experiences. Take a spontaneous road trip. Fly across the country for a concert. Travel internationally if you get the opportunity. You'll be a much more well-rounded, educated, and interesting person if you don't stay in the same place all your life. Story 33. Save money and learn how to invest, but also travel on a shoestring budget. Stay in that dirty Dublin hostel. Get that cheap overnight train in Czechia. Make friends on the train and go to a cheap locals bar with them a few hours later. Eat that dodgy kebab on Amsterdam. Go to that wacky club in Vienna that allegedly lets people smoke weed. They do, it's hilarious. Sneak a bottle of wine to the Eiffel Tower. Take a bus in Spain to that small town where you club all night and then get on the bus back to Madrid at 10 a.m. without sleeping. I've done some bougie travel, and it's nice, but some of my best memories are traveling around with no money and experiencing the world when you was full of energy. Do it. Story 34. Learn personal finance. Save what you can and invest wisely. Investments accrue over time, and being young, you have the advantage. Learn a wide variety of skills. Get jobs that you will learn from. Being a jack of all trades is very advantageous. Getting into a trade like electrician, HVAC, or plumbing early will set you up for life, especially because people your age often don't want to sow these things. In a decade or two, these careers will be in high demand, and you could make a killing. Eventually, you can own your own business and let employees do the dirty work. You just manage and do the finances. Doing the dirty work and learning the trade will allow you to be able to find good employees and make the business successful. Make being healthy a habit. You don't have to go 100% with it. Just make eating healthy and exercising moderately a routine thing. Don't smoke, drink, or do drugs. It's very easy to spiral into chaos with these. Learn to spot people to stay away from. There's a lot of wolves out there. This is especially true in romantic relationships. Learn early that the corporate press and the government don't work for you. They will gladly destroy your life. They will convince you of untrue things by lying or omitting information for their own benefit. You are taught otherwise for a reason. Once you believe that they are the good guys, it's very hard to get that presupposition out of you, and you're very willing to believe them. What would you do? I'm waiting in the comments. Story 35. AI once heard that every decade what you want to be, the next decade you will be. In my late teens to 20s, I wanted to be good in bed. In my 30s, I was poor but good in bed. Oops. So in my 30s, I wanted to be secure with money. We'll see how my 40s turn out, but frankly, this is not the optimal order of skills acquisition. Story 36. Diet. A balanced diet is very important. You can eat crap on occasion, but make sure you're balancing it out with proper nutritious meals as well. This helps combat slow-burn health issues later, such as cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, heart disease, etc. Savings. Having a savings account you regularly contribute to and rarely take from is important in multiple ways. Something as simple as 10% of your paycheck salary going into an account regularly will save you in dire and sudden situations. B. Financially prepared for sudden accidents and setbacks beyond your control. Story 37. Do strength training. Nothing crazy required, just body weight exercises or lightweight. Your body didn't evolve to handle being a soft, squishy weakling. Your joints and tendons will hold up a lot better with even a little bit of muscle supporting them as well. You will avoid a lot of middle-age issues and feel much better overall. Stack a bit of cardio on there and the benefits are even bigger. You don't have to be a muscle man or run marathons. Story 38. Don't get multiple pets in your 20s and then have a baby when they all enter old age. I had a baby and boom, my 2 dogs had health problems and a year later my cat does now too. On top of trying to be a parent, I'm overwhelmed. We can afford most of it, but it's a lot of time and energy that I never expected right when my baby needs me the most too. Throw in a dependent parent who relies on me and yeah, my back's breaking under all this weight. Story 39. Not in my 40s, actually closing in on 30s soon, but I gotta say, if you're living with your parents still in your 20s, work more hours. When I lived with mine, I worked part-time and saved up over $10K. Boy, do I miss the days of only paying $300 for my portion of the rent. If I could go back, I'd work 50+ hours a week and save $100K. Story 40. If you enjoy home repair, woodworking, etc., be careful how you use equipment. First off, use ear protection. My partner has had tinnitus since he was 31 because he never protected his hearing. Second, my partner's hands, wrists, elbows, and right shoulder all have disfiguring and painful arthritis, probably from the hammering and drilling for hours on end. Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's a good idea. Discussing the pain of arthritis reminds me that if you use too much aspirin over time, as little as 6 months, if you have an accident with big pain, your tissues get saturated with aspirin and you get aspirin spots, big blotchy bruises all over. But if you overuse NSAIDs, another OTC painkillers, they can cause digestive problems that can mimic heart attacks. My suggestion, if you have big pain, stay on OTC painkillers as long as possible, but rotate through the different types. Also, don't kid yourself. Nobody handles alcohol as well as they think they do, including you. Story 41. Your community, your family, your posture when sitting and standing, your nutrition, your generalized safety when doing activities, whatever you use to nourish your mind, body, and soul, and your sleep cycles. Like seriously, you think you can always tend these more later, until you get older, and each starts suffering permanent changes/challenges. Your life in your 20s is a whiteboard with a full pack of dry erase markers. By your late 30s, many markers are out of ink, and you're on to permanent markers. At that point, sure, you may be able to erase it with a lot of work and outside intervention, i.e. rubbing alcohol, but there will likely always be a smudge, and sooner or later the ink stays. Story 42. The problem with being in your 20s is you still feel like your whole life is spread out before you the way a child does. And statistically, this is true. And that makes you not value time the way you should. There is a saying that you live 2 lives, one before you realize you'll die, and one after you're certain you will. Most of you are closer to the line than you know. At 43, the easy half of my life is past and things are starting to catch up. I'm not a broken old man or anything, but the hands have mild tendinitis from all the stuff I've done, and the back is sore. The eyesight's going too. About to get my first pair of bifocals next year, I do believe. The point is, I spend a lot of my life now cursing that I didn't discover the things I truly love doing at a younger age. Some of you are busy partying and playing video games, and all of that is fine in moderation. But find what you truly want to do and do some version of it now. Don't fall prey to the poor reasoning I had at your age, that voice that says, well, I can't afford to do this right at this time, so I'll wait until I can. Life is about movement. And it's better to walk an imperfect path than to wait around looking for the perfect path you may not find until it's too late to walk it. Story 43. Who they marry and have kids with. I married a complete lunatic who won't move on, and not in the I still love you way. And there's a kid in the middle with special needs, so that just makes it more difficult. 2 years of trying to divorce via negotiators, saying yes to everything. And she steals his disability check even a few months, and for the last 8 months, gives him melatonin in the afternoon because she can't handle it. And he's not difficult at all. Just dropped around $25K to a lawyer to get it over with, and possibly get the kid to be with me more than her. But yeah, she's not gonna let me live a quiet life, no matter what. Story 44-25 turns to 30 turns to 40 real quick. Life's too short not to enjoy life, but take care of your teeth, skin, and character. We all know that those people who were hot in high school, college can easily fall down a slippery slope of complacency, leading to a poor life, and vice versa with ugly ducklings and such becoming successful. However, that never changes. To pick yourself up or become a failure can happen faster than you realize. Story 45, struggles with undiagnosed autism, resulting in bad relationships, negative work experiences, loneliness, hopelessness, and a lack of achievements. Learn self-respect, assertiveness, and pursue a trade, dream, or college career track as early as possible. Have some kind of consistent fun in your 20s that doesn't involve drinking. Getting blackout drunk shouldn't be one of your hobbies. Don't ever try opioids. Take vitamin D and folic acid if you're a woman. And make sure you're getting enough of other vitamins like B12. Make sure you have someone you can speak your truths and fears to. Story 46. Great sensible comments on here regarding health, diet, and exercise. So I'll talk about how to avoid a midlife crisis. Be adventurous in your 20s. Don't waste it by working nonstop. Prepare for your future, absolutely. But if you've wanted to do extreme sports, travel, spend all of your wages on having the latest fashion, live alone, go out to clubs every weekend for a few years, and not getting home until 8 a.m., do it now. I did so much stuff in my late teens, early 20s. By the time I married at 26 in 2012, I was really happy to settle down on my next adventure. I'm 39 now. Me and my husband want to start doing a little more again now that our kids aren't helpless infants anymore, and any bumps in our marriage has been worked though. But we are both extremely satisfied with getting all that out of our systems when we did. Alternatively, we've seen some very awkward videos on SM of acquaintances going through a crisis when they hit 40 by suddenly wanting to box when they have never done it before. There's something about a graying, overweight man getting pummeled in a church hall by a younger, fitter man that is very sad. Or the 42-year-old overweight man who spends all his time at home drinking, smoking, going to karaoke, trying to relive when he sang on stage, kidding himself that the bar owner wants him to sing full-time for him. Story 47. Learn the art of maintenance and moderation. Live below your means at every chance. Don't chase based on what others might think of you. Maintain your mental health, physical health, home, and cars. Get passionate about a hobby or two, out turning them into money pits. Do the best you can to save 10% beyond what your job might be doing for you, and stick those in index ETFs and ignore it. If your family is supportive and brings you love, embrace and keep them close. If they are a constant source of stress and agony, do not feel bad about breaking ties and redirecting your love and care to those deserving of it. Try to adopt a mindfulness mindset. Story 48. Desk jobs will ruin you. I worked as a secondary school teacher, on my feet all the time, walking around class and rooms, and did athletics in the evenings. Was a bartender, on my feet all evening, surfing all day. Then I got a desk job in healthcare, and all my spare energy evaporated, and I completely seized up. It took only a few months. This was despite going to the gym regularly still and cycling to work, which started to feel like Herculean efforts when it used to have been something easy to do. Sitting for hours at a time is awful. If you do have a desk job, for the love of God, do something like yoga or stretch religiously as well as hit your cardio and strength days. Story 49. You're probably going to have to look after your parents at some point. There's very little support for you when that happens, and no one talks about how devastating it is when they die. It is the worst. And if you're in your 40s or older, you are just supposed to get on with it. Sorry for being depressing. I'm going through it myself. Story 50. Your mind is not invincible. Too much loneliness or reflection or uncertainty will wear you down and depress you, and it's hard to climb back out of that hole. Don't make plans that involve subjecting yourself to these things for years on end. You should make sure your life is satisfying and pleasant in the present tense, and not only in the long run. Story 51. Many of the advice given here. Go out there, party, rave, have fun, blow your wages. Life is for living. You don't need to physically stretch. Stretch your horizons instead. Travel, meet people, buy gadgets, develop meaningful relationships. I'm not saying the future, hedonistically. You can still plan wisely, be reflective, etc., but don't die at a ripe old age, lonely, full of regrets of what you didn't do. Embrace life, not the fear of what ifs. Story 52. Establish good and healthy relationships with the family and friends you cherish. Keep nurturing that connection. Make it a priority. My motto is that your career or other things that can sidetrack you isn't what they put on your tombstone. It's who you were to the people who love you. A great friend, daughter, father, mentor. Be the best of that part of you. Story 53, not saving money. Always be putting away some, even if it's only a little. If you have automatic deposit, put 10% away and forget it even exists until it's needed. When that emergency comes, you'll have the savings to handle it. When something you need goes on sale, you can pull the money from savings and then pay that back, and it'll save you long run. Story 54. So I turned 50 this year, and honestly, unless you're kind of living an unhealthy lifestyle, I don't really have health problems or anything. But I will say for me, everybody I know, like my family and even my ex-husband, have all passed away by 48, and I have no real friends, so of course, eat well and stretch and try to get cardio every day. I'm kind of being bad right now, actually, from depression, but take supplements. I look about 3,540. I don't look my age, but I have nobody, and that is hard. I'm completely isolated, and I'm worried about my mental health because I have no one to talk to. The only person I really had was my boyfriend, and he dumped me because apparently I wasn't good enough. Regardless, you need a good social network. Make sure that you have good friends that care about you, and make sure you invest in those. Don't be like me and be completely alone. Story 55. When you're in your 20s, you know Jack. Have an open mind and always be willing to learn. Don't piss away all your money on you don't need. Latest phone, flashy car, invest where you can. So when you're 40, you won't be still living in a share house, complaining about the cost of living and how unfair life is. If you're going to borrow money for a tertiary education, make sure it's something that will pay for itself in a few years. Save the passion/hobby/bull degrees for when you're financially stable. Look after your body, exercise and eat well. Story 56. Talk to your parents about getting old, specifically them getting old. What's their retirement plan? Do they plan to downsize? Do they have a will? Who is power of attorney? Having someone pass away with no will in a 4-bedroom house full of bull is not fun for anyone. Neither is trying to explain why all of a sudden they have to go into a home. What do you mean you can't afford my health care? What do you mean I can't live with you? Who's going to take care of my 6 cats? Story 57. I'm in my early 40s. I fear all of the health issues anyone here has mentioned, though much of it is a U.S. problem, I think. Teeth, of course, is a big topic and other health things. But as an European, I get tested and checked regularly, at least from a certain age, for cancers of all kind. I go to the dentist 2 times a year, get my teeth checked, and once a year cleaned professionally. Taking care of the body, like not eating fast food too much, or drink too much alcohol, or smoke too much, or not doing drugs, is something each and every age should know. So I really believe it's the joy and fun and the events and holidays I didn't experience that affect me later in life. I regret not having made more experiences with women, not had my time enjoyed enough, because getting married, getting kids, and being in debt comes soon enough and fast enough, and the chances to have a good sex life and try different kinks get rarer and lesser. And as you age, you don't get some chances, maybe never again.